Hey guys, welcome back to LNR DBSCG. This is Reed. I am doing a green Broly hand control deck profile. And yeah, let's get into it. So starter Broly, one of the first starter decks that came out for this game. Pretty simple leader on the Unawakened side. Has an activate main where you choose one green Frieza army card with energy cost of 1 and add it to your hand from your deck and then negate it for the rest of the game. So you get that one and done. Typically you're going to search out, your one drop Broly, your one drop Paragus, and then just kind of fill your hand with whatever you don't see. And then the Awakened side is once you're at 4 or less, you draw one card, untap one energy, and then you flip them over. Once he's flipped over, here's the permanent of if there are 2 or more cards in your battle area, you can't play any more battle cards. So you're not typically spamming a lot on your board, but that is where his activate main comes into play, where you can actually pop something on your end as well as your opponent's end and KO anything, no cost or anything like that. Doesn't ignore barrier though, so anything with barrier would last. Auto sparking 7, probably the best part of the leader. You'll fill your drop area up pretty fast, so if you're at 7, at least 7 cards in your drop, every time you swing you draw until you have 6. So you can pretty much dump your hand, combo off whatever you want to, and then draw till you have 6. Just a really nice combo-centric deck, and a lot of the combo cards we have are really hand control, which is the main reason you're going to play this leader. So going into the main deck here, we run 2 of the Paragus the Sacrifice, and Paragus is activate main, you choose one green card in your battle area, and then other than this card, and then you place it in your drop and you draw one card. This is good for popping your one drop Brolys, which we'll get into in just one moment. So we run 2 of him. We run 4 of the Paragus one drops. These Paragus Deadly Premonition has an auto where when you play him, search the top 5, pull out a Broly card no matter what cost it is, and then put the rest of them back in your deck. And then when this card is removed from your battle area by a skill, which it can be removed by your Paragus card or your Broly leader, if it's removed by a skill, then you untap 1 energy. So nice to get 1 energy back in a deck that really can't afford to spend a lot of energy. So run 4 of him. And we do actually run the Broly chain just for some fun and for some hand control concepts. But we have Broly Unrealized Ambition. When you play him, you mill 2 life. And then once he's removed from a skill, whether it be or KO'd, whether it be from your skill, from your leader or one of your cards or your opponent's, you take another 1 or 2 life and you can play the next part of the Broly chain from there. Going into that Broly chain, we run 3 of the 4 drop Broly. 3 of the 4 drop Broly. 4 drop Broly, he has crit and auto when this card is removed from a skill, same as the 1 drop from earlier. When he's removed from a skill, removed from your battle area by a skill, you can actually when the 1 drop's removed, you can dump 2 cards from your hand and then play this guy from your hand, and then that also allows us to go into the 7 drop here, which we are running 2 of the 7 drop. Which the 4 drop Broly has the same skill of where when he's removed from a battle area, you can remove 2 cards from your hand and then play the 7 drop Broly from your hand. So you can actually go into these by turn 2. Typically, I like to be aggro as aggro as I can. So what I do is I play the 1 drop on turn 2, kill him, play the 4 drop, kill him, play the 7 drop. And so, and both of these have crit, so your opponent's not getting not being able to pick up their life other than in specific matchups, and typically they're not going to have counter plays active on turn 2 to even get these guys from not coming on the board. So they're really easy to get out if you see them. And in testing, it's been fairly consistent, so I've been able to get these guys out, pretty consistently. But he has an activate battle once per turn where you burst 3, and you can do this on your opponent's turn as well. But you can burst 3 and your opponent has to discard 1 card from hand. So just a lot of really nice hand control options. So that is all for the Broly chain. As far as unisons that we play in this deck, we do play Bardock Parental Unison. And with Bardock, Bardock's only particularly good early game whenever you can kill 1 drops. He unfortunately can't gain markers unless you kill the 1 drop. So he has an activate main where you +1, you KO a 1 drop or less battle card on your turn, and you can KO a battle card on your opponent's side as well. And then he has an auto where he can actually rip something out of the opponent's combo area, which does come up quite a bit, and it's just another option of hand control. And in this meta, with Z Energy being so popular to to combo cards off and to charge to your Z Energy, you can actually deny a couple cards going into Z Energy, which is really nice. And then we run 3 copies of the Bardock. The other backup Unison I run is the King Vegeta 3-drop Unison. Very underrated Unison that no one really talks about. I don't really understand why he doesn't see a lot of play. Probably primarily because green isn't super great. But he does have a counter attack that you can Spirit Boost 1 and play him with 3 markers. He has a permanent where if you have, or during your opponent's turn, if you have a Great Ape in your battle area, you can reduce this cost by 1, so it becomes a 2-drop. We don't run any Great Apes in this deck, so none of that, unfortunately. He does have a +1 where you can either rip a card out of your opponent's hand that you choose, or you can KO a battle card ignoring barrier. And then he has a -X where X equals the amount of markers you remove from him, and you can choose that many battle cards equal to X to KO on your opponent's side, which is relevant, but we have a lot of spot removal with the Broly leader, so it doesn't really come up too much. But that hand removal is really good, and that ignoring barrier is really good too. Here we have the blocker Zarbon Crimson Elite. You can actually play this guy from your drop area by tapping 1 energy and choosing 1 green card to discard, and then if your opponent has 5 or more cards in hand, when this card is removed from a battle area or KO'd, then you get more hand control. You can actually just discard a card out of your opponent's hand. So nice little combo piece to fill the drop area too, and you can play him if you need to. Pocket Secret Rare is the 5-drop Majin Buu. This guy's crazy. Your opponent can't even swing at your leader without choosing 2 cards from their hand and dumping them each time. He blows up everything on your side and your opponent's side, ignoring barrier. And if he would otherwise be killed, you can actually just replay him from the drop area. So he's really hard to deal with. You typically don't want to. You typically don't want to play him raw because typically you don't want to make it till turn 5, but you can play him if you absolutely need to. He's a nice little nuking option. And next up we have another combo piece for some hand control options. We have Kusu. I really like Kusu. The counterplay that she has where you play a card and she gets the auto where you KO a 6 or less is relevant because we do sometimes charge blue or green energy. I either charge her or the other blue and green option I have, which is Android 18. But primarily what I want to do is tap 1, combo this card to not only fill my drop area, but it'll also make my opponent discard a card from hand if she's comboed with, if you have a multicolor energy in your energy, which is relevant, and she does come up quite a bit. But I really do like Kusu a lot. Another green battle card we run that also serves some protection pieces, or serves as a protection piece as well, is the Hit Assassin Strike. He does have barrier, dual attack. Barrier is really relevant in the red matchup, so he can't be negged. He has an auto for 2 energy, where essentially if he's in your combo area and if he's in your combo area and your opponent has 2 or more energy, and he's using the combo, if one of your battle cards actually KOs another player's battle card, you can play him, or the opponent's battle card, you can play him from your combo area for 2 energy, which is super nice. He also has an auto limit 1 where if this card's in rest mode and your opponent swings, your opponent either has to discard 2 cards, and if they don't, then you just negate the attack, and that just happens over and over again. So they have to really make a business decision there. So it's really relevant, really good. So I like this card a lot. Also, really good art. Next up, we have 2 Frieza Charismatic Villain. Frieza, just super good, staple green counterplay. KO 7 or less. You can play it as long as you have a Unison with 2 markers and 2 markers on it. You can play it for free. So super relevant, super good. Play Zamasu for some more hand control options. Zamasu is also relevant because he actually you have to tap 1 and KO something that costs 5. In order to play him. So since we have the permanent on our leader that only allows us to have maximum of 2 battle cards in our battle area, then Zamasu helps to kind of cleaning that up. And then when you swing with him, he makes your opponent discard a card. So just more hand control stuff. We also run 4 of the Android 18 super combos, which if your leader is blue or green, if you combo this card, your opponent has to discard 1 card. Super relevant, super good. Open on turn 1, so no life total on that to worry about it. We run 1 of Gohan Hidden Might. Again, no reason to really run a lot of like super heavy hitting battle cards because we're only limited to 2 anyway. He has Deflect, Unique, and Double Strike. He also has a permanent where if your life is at 3 or less, which you'll be at 3 or less life pretty quickly because you're mostly going to be killing yourself. If you're at 3 or less life, you actually reduce his cost by 3, so he becomes a 2-drop. When he's played, he KOs a battle card ignoring barrier, which again is relevant. But he also removes a marker from a Unison, which can be super helpful sometimes. It does come up occasionally. And then speaking of KOing cards, we have our free play surprise attack Frieza. So whenever an opponent's battle card is KO'd by one of your effects, you can actually play this guy from your hand. So he's a free 15k crit body. Again, critical doesn't let them get life, just plays into more hand control stuff. Only run 2 because again, we can only have at most 2 battle cards in our battle area, so don't need a lot. 1 Rebrand. Rebrand is relevant. You can pay 2 and make your opponent, discard 2 cards, and by sending her from the drop to the warp. So basically just combo her off as soon as you can, and then make your opponent discard more cards. She doesn't usually come up too much in testing. That's all. I only run 1, but if you really need to hand control your opponent, this is not a bad, turn 3, turn 4 play if you have to. Overall option is Bardock, Awakened Instinct. I thought about running Super Saiyan 3 Son Goku Man on a Mission just for more aggro stuff since he's double strike crit. Probably will end up running him, but this guy's still good. You get to draw 2 cards. So if you play him by Overwhelm, you just get to draw 2. So it's really nice. You discard 1, draw 2. So just more draw power, but this deck doesn't really need it, to be honest. 2 Kawitsukai to kind of shut down counter plays like blocker negates and things like that. I think that's a big thing that this deck has a hard problem with, is the blocker negates. So, having Kawitsukai to tap 1, send it from your drop to warp, and your opponent can't play anything, can't put a body on the field during your turn, 20k or less, without discarding 2 cards. So not only more hand control, but also, just preventing a lot of that stuff from happening. Because if your Broly chain gets blown up, you really kind of have to improvise and just really go for the hand control option, because there's not a lot of other battle cards to really play in this deck. And next up for our negate package, or just kind of like counters in general, we have Kakunsa, where Kakunsa's a counter attack. She reduces her own cost by 2 on your opponent's turn, and when she's played, she KOs anything. Doesn't ignore barrier, but no cost or anything like that. So she's pretty good, and she does put a body on the field. So if you do need a strong 20k body to swing with, you have that. So. But keep in mind too, Kakunsa, I guess going back to her for a second, Kakunsa does make it a little hard because you can't play her. Same with Frieza Charismatic too. If you already have 2 battle cards in your battle area, you actually just can't play her. So a lot of these counters unfortunately don't come up because it immediately goes against the permanent. So next up we have Dormant Potential Unleashed. I've ordered 2 more copies of this card because this card is a must run. Probably will cut something in this deck. Haven't quite figured out what that is yet. May just add the 2 and just run 53 cards. I was originally running 51 in this deck, but I may just make room for 2 more cards. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'll just test the consistency of it. But Dormant Potential is just way too good, and also this card's just absolutely beautiful. But counter attack, you KO anything 2 or less, and your opponent can only swing 1 more time for the turn. Just completely shuts down a lot of aggro stuff, which you definitely need help with, because since you're killing yourself a lot, getting aggroed is like one of the worst things that can happen to your deck. So, and you can also free play this if you have a Unison card in place, which is super good, super effective. Don't know why they printed this card, but thank God green has it, because it would be terrifying in any other deck, or any other color, I should say. 1 Cell Earth Destroying Kamehameha. Good card. I probably wouldn't run more than 2, but 1 I've found is fine. I have a lot of hand control options, so I feel like 1 is fine for now. But activate battle. If your leader card's green, you give your leader plus 15k, and then auto, or 15k for the battle, and then his auto is, if your energy is all mono green, and then you make your opponent discard 1 card, or you actually get to choose the card that your opponent discards. So really relevant, really good. I probably wouldn't run more than 1. Blocker negates, pretty self-explanatory. You need a blocker on the board. Only bad thing is the permanent. You can still get the negate, but you can't play the blocker if you have 2 battle cards in play. So that's another thing to keep in mind. It can be tough, especially late game when you're getting aggroed. We run 2 of the Champa Destroys. Another good card. It's kind of the same thing as Earth Destroying Kamehameha. I don't think it's as good, because you're mostly going to use this on your opponent's turn, because on your turn, you are giving your leader plus 10k, which can be good if you're going for game, but you're KOing something on your turn, Whereas on your opponent's turn, you're just making them discard 1 and giving your leader an additional plus 5k, which is good because it's giving that plus 15 that Cell would, and it's also still making your opponent discard. But I do think that this card is objectively worse than just playing Earth Destroying, but it still comes up quite a bit, and I still like it for the other effect. And then our other counterplay option, because green unfortunately doesn't have a lot of them, but our other counterplay option is Focus Breakthrough. If your life is at 4 or less, and your leader card is green, you can play this card, and the opponent, or excuse me, the card getting played, if it's 3 or less, gets placed in the drop area instead of being played. And then permanent is if you have a multicolor energy, then you can free play this for free by picking up a life. Typically, you want to try to pay for this. You don't want to try to pick up life if you can help it, because you're going to be so low on life anyway. But if you have to, you have to. So 2 of Focus Breakthrough. And then wrapping it up here, on the negate side, Shocking Death Bowl. Negates, kills anything 2 or less, which is more relevant than it used to be because so many Z battle cards are typically 2 drops. 2 drops or 1 drops. So, if it doesn't have barrier, it actually can clear off the board pretty well. And it is a Sparking 5 ability, which you're gonna fill the drop area up really fast in this deck. So Sparking 5 does make it a free play by picking up a life. So not a bad option. And then finally, unfortunately, I am running the Send Secret Rare, which is nice to switch things to rest mode, and definitely since we're a real combo heavy deck anyway, where we kind of want to get rid of our hand for the most part, this isn't the worst secret rare to play. I recently ordered the Bardock secret rare, the Origin of Legend, which I think is a much superior secret rare, but to give this a splash of yellow isn't the worst. Never want to charge this card because it's only yellow and black and we have nothing that costs that, so definitely don't want to charge it. But I would definitely recommend either playing the Bardock secret rare in this deck, the Wicked Saiyan secret rare, or when the new set comes out, the Cell Max I think will be really good in this deck. So definitely when that set comes out, if we do end up getting Cell Max, if we do end up pulling anything, then that would be the secret rare going around this deck. But that's it. There's really no sideboard cards that I run or anything. That's just the main deck. And it's really fun hand control, and it's not really built to win, but it is a lot of fun. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks.